Hi.
All right.
We're
Let's do
good.
it.
Hi. It's crazy. It's late. Not really. Well, for some of us, it's late.
Yeah. That's right.
There's just a lot of emotions right now.
There are a lot of emotions on that, yeah.
But anyways, we're gonna save those emotions for later because I wanna pretend that what I saw on Friday did not happen in another
Really?
company.
You're talking about the other company.
The other company
The other company.
would ruin it. I'm just kidding. I love you, Adolfo. Listen, this is what happens when I'm not here to review Rampage with Adolfo in like weeks because
Right.
things get out of control.
Right.
But hi everyone, all you Bi-Conics wrestling nerds out there. Welcome to
we're actually
another.
starting.
I know we are.
Okay.
I'm totally keeping this whole minute in. I'm just putting it out there.
Excellent. All right. Now it's cereal time.
Cereal. We're super cereal guys.
And cereal.
But welcome to another cleanup crew review. That's hot. Listen,
Hi.
I'm hyped up on cold medicine with this head cold. It is late for Adolfo. We are here to review another episode of AEW Rampage, which I'm just gonna put it out there. We're gonna probably mostly talk about the main event because
Yo.
woo!
Yo.
We're gonna talk about that main event.
Fire. Fuego.
So, not to say that I don't care about anything else that happened, but that main event got like 20 whole minutes, and I timed it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It was good. But let's start at the beginning, which is a good place to start.
Which also
With
started off
introductions.
really. Yes, introductions. I am Mikey, El Jefe around these parts. My lovely co-host is the nerdy Puerto Rican himself, Adolfo. Like I said, It's been weeks. It's been weeks since we've been in the same room together.
That's right.
So bear with us.
That's right.
Sweet. Anyways, I have to say, overall, I really enjoyed this week's AEW Rampage. There was a lot of fun stuff, and I consistently say that all the time, that AEW Rampage tends to be a lot of fun. I feel that if that's how you should treat Rampage, because we only have an hour of wrestling. Great.
Yep.
And, that fun kicked, us off this week for Rampage because we got a tag team match between Top Flight and Private Party.
Part 2.
This match was so fun.
Part 2. Yeah.
Part 2.
Still a lot of fun. Yeah, there was some beef from the first match with Private Party and Top Flight, in that Top Flight and Action Andretti accused Private Party of, in essence, cheating. With
Kind of did.
with what's his face holding on to the rope.
Mark
so
Quinn holding onto the ropes.
Yeah, so he could get the pin. So this was part 2 to like clear the air and whatnot. And God, yeah, it was again a lot of fun. I was kind of worried seeing that we were gonna get, Top Flight, Private Party Part 2. But yeah, it was still like the same intensity, the same entertainment as the first one. It really kept me. It really kept me on the edge of my seat as to who was gonna win. Because you had a lot of great reversals. You had a lot of great moves. Both tag teams, Top Flight and Private Party, are just like aerial acrobatics. They're great going off the ropes. Although there was a lot of good, just like basic slugging it out on this episode. We had Action Andretti outside of the ring, and he was in essence kind of playing lawman, if you will. He did catch a little rope grab there, but yeah, it was an enjoyable, high energy match, the type of match that I like at the beginning of Rampage. So
I do too. I love that Private Party interacts with the audience so well. Like when Isaiah Cassidy went and grabbed the inflatable crown from that one member of the audience and kept it on.
I thought that was Zay.
Match.
I thought that was Zay.
Zay, sorry.
Yeah, that was Brother Zay. Yeah.
Brother Zay, Isaiah Cassidy, yeah. I'm like, he's not Brother Zay no more.
They kept calling
But
him that though.
I know. I really appreciate how much Private Party loves to hype and play with the audience
Yeah.
throughout this whole match.
was
Like,
really
again,
cool.
when he grabbed the crown and kept it on for the majority of this whole match,
That was
it was great.
awesome.
And you know what? Top Flight pick up the victory here. And commentary set it up perfectly that I would love to see a rubber match between these two to see
Yep.
who ekes out with the second victory. And hopefully we will get that because I would love to see more Top Flight and Private Party.
Yep. I feel that the rubber match is going to be a 0 hour match.
I mean, that could possibly happen, but hey, you know what? I'm okay with that. So if it ends up being on
Yeah.
0 hour for Revolution, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah. Although, I mean, because Revolution is the next AEW pay-per-view or
Pay-per-view,
whatever that's coming up.
I think it's 4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm like scouring through the storylines that they have right now. I would not mind. I would be very happy to see this rubber match as a 0 hour match. I would not mind if it was like the beginning match, especially if they brought the same type of energy, intensity that they brought to the first two matches. I would be happy to see that as like the beginning match of the night to kind of like set the stage.
Right. So we got 4 weeks until Revolution, so we'll see how things pan out.
Yep.
And speaking of things panning out, I'm going to be interested to see what happens next because now we join Renee backstage, who is interviewing a returning Sammy Guevara. Last time we saw Sammy was during Battle of the Belts in that street fight for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It was him and Chris Jericho versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks. And of course, but Adolfo did a beautiful, I think all three of us collectively figured out a way to talk about Battle of the Belts. It felt like so long ago, but it was really like 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrestling, you guys. I don't know.
There was a lot of wrestling.
But we were wondering, like, what happened to Sammy? I know that they lost the match, but what happened? Come to find out that he got injured again. But thankfully it wasn't for long term like the last time. And basically in this little interview and promo, he basically says, he's a dad now, so perspective has changed. He has a family to feed. He has his new baby. He has Ty. And he calls out Powerhouse Hobs. And so, you know what? I'm okay with this. This keeps Sammy involved fighting the Don Callis family. But in a weird way, it also keeps him away from Jericho, which is I'm totally okay with.
Yeah. I worry if Sammy's injury was another concussion, because concussions are very scary things that they can build on top of the last concussion, which can lead to really bad things down the line. My hope is that the AEW medical and whatever medical that Sammy's going to, understands that and is doing the right things. I am excited to see Sammy versus Powerhouse Hobs. So much better than keeping him with Jericho. Let Sammy shine. It's his time to shine. I feel that wrestling Powerhouse Hobs, we're gonna get a very good, strong versus fast and agile match. We're going to be seeing a lot of high flying antics from Sammy in that match. So we are. I'm here for it.
I am too, and because then the promo we get later, and we can talk about this now. The two promos between Sammy and Powerhouse Hobs kind of tangentially go together.
Yes.
So, because later in the evening we see So Sammy had the call, and now we see Powerhouse Hobs with the response. So first, the Don Callis in this backstage kind of segment basically continues to hype up the Don Callis family.
Yeah.
Me and Adolfo are going to talk offline because we'll be here all night because there was a lot of feelings. What happened on Dynamite in terms of Mr. Kyle Fletcher, but I'll get Adolfo's thoughts at the end of this. Powerhouse Hobs comes in, And he actually is allowed to speak, which I wanted for the longest time. And so he basically answers Sammy saying, you're not the only one with kids. I have 3 children of my own, and I have to make sure that I provide for them. So Sammy, you made a big mistake of calling me out, because I'm going to bring it to you and you better be ready. And this made me invested because 1, we get to see Sammy be on his own for a little bit. And 2, with this promo from Powerhouse Hobs, I've been wanting to see him back in the wrestling ring. And it seems that he's going to be doing this program with Sammy, because Chris is going to be dealing with another member in Takeshita later, with this feud. So I'm happy that we get to see Sammy and Hobbs have something outside of, always being in multi-person tags. And this is more of a one-on-one situation.
Yep. So we can move on.
Yes. Speaking of big groups, I don't know what we're still doing here, but Jay Lethal's trying to hold a training, but the rest of the Double J squad is not buying it. It's like Satnam, Satnam Singh, Karen,
Double J,
Sanjay. Like, they're all there, and they're basically talking smack about Jay. They're like, I don't know what he wants us doing here. We're not going to wrestle, and I'm not going to do that. And then Jay Lethal comes into frame, and he's all in like a workout gear, and he's ready to go. And what's funny is that Satnam, Sanjay, and Karen were trying to dance around the issue. And then Double J just steps in and is like, all right, none of you are going to say it. All right. You're too soft. You're too soft, Jay Lethal. You're too nice. And I was just like, what happened? I thought we were breaking up this group. I guess not. Like, what happened?
Yeah, it seems like they've like slammed the emergency brake on this breakup, and now it's just kind of like grinding. I feel that it's time to just pull the trigger. Although me and Alice did both think it was hysterical at the end of the segment when Karen was walking off. She turns to Jay's like, "Well, you are nice," and she walks off frame. So that was comical, but yeah, we can pull the trigger on this. Like, I'm interested. I want to see Jay Lethal versus Double J Jeff Jarrett. Give it to us. I'm ready.
I am too, because I thought that's the direction we're heading in, and then, like you said, we pumped the emergency brake for some reason on this. I'm like, nobody's hurt, nobody's injured, we're not missing anything. Like, we can continue to proceed as natural, but see what happens with that. Then we get our second match of the evening. This is an AEW World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match. And I immediately, on paper, I knew that Dark Order wasn't going to win here. They're not going to pick up a win over the champs. And then they doubled down telling me that Dark Order wasn't going to win because they got no entrance. I was like, don't do this to Dark Order. How dare you not give them an entrance? But this is Dark Order, which is being represented by Alex Reynolds and John Silver, taking on your AEW World Tag Team Champs, Big Bill, Ricky Starks, with Darby on commentary.
Because we're hyping up Darby and Sting versus Big Bill and Ricky.
Yep, that's happening this upcoming Wednesday in Phoenix, Arizona on Dynamite.
Yep.
So there's not really much to talk about in terms of match-wise. This was a match. Dark Order did their thing. Ricky Starks continues to prove that he is a stud.
Yep. I didn't think the Dark Order looked bad per se in this match.
I didn't either, but it was just like, meh, they were there.
Yeah. They were there. It was nice that that it was a clean pin. I think who was it? Big Bill that got the pin?
No, Ricky did because he threw the Rochambeau, which I love that move, but that got dangerously close with somebody landing on their head. I was like, ooh, that was too close for comfort. Ricky hits the Rochambeau for the win.
Yeah. But I don't think that made the Dark Order look bad necessarily. Did we know that they were going to get their asses handed to them because of the no entrance? Yes, we did. Did this serve to push the storyline for Darby Allin Sting versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks? Meh.
Maybe.
yeah, you know, like
Not really.
I kind of sort of dug how Big Bill and Darby Allin kind of had words at the end. Um, oh, what was it that Darby said? Come down here, and I'm gonna shove my skateboard down your throat or up your. I'm gonna stick my skateboard up your ass or something like that.
And I quote, Darby's like, he's like, come down here, I will shove my skateboard up your like
Yeah.
demonetization.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're gonna have to bleep me out on that one.
Nah, it's fine. I'm not JVL. I keep all the curses in.
But yeah, so yeah, you know, I guess it kind of added to the storyline a bit to get us ready for Wednesday. But yeah, you know, that's kind of it for the match. It happened. It wasn't, not that it was a bad match. It just, you know, there really didn't
It was
seem
there.
like, yeah, it was there. It really didn't seem like the stakes were high. And I mean, if it was an elimination match anyway and the belts weren't on the line, why did we not let the Dark Order get a win, you know, in some like scandalous way? Because I mean, Evil Uno was ringside, you know,
he's running interference for the match too.
Right, yeah. So, and if the belts aren't on the line, you could have given the Dark Order the win. But you know, now this sets the question of, are they going to have the tag team belts won by Sting and Darby Allin, only to go to Revolution and have them lose it against the Young Bucks?
So this is a question that, you know, me and Adolfo were talking about in private in our text messages to each other. And, you know, Adolfo wanted to have this conversation on air, which I was totally here for. I like Adolfo's ideas. He's really great. But the short answer to this is I 100% agree with you. And I feel that that's the direction that we got set up with since, you know, the Young Bucks returned a couple weeks ago onto AEW television. I do for sure think that Big Bill and Ricky are losing the titles to Sting and Darby next week. And then they're going to lose the titles because Sting's retiring after Revolution. So the titles have to go to the Young Bucks. Now they can do the other thing where Sting and Darby win, but then you run into the problem where they decide to vacate the titles, which is also just as bad. I would rather have Sting and Darby lose them to the Young Bucks than to win and then vacate them, because Samoa Joe did that with the Ring of Honor Television Championship, and Adolfo remembers how
there's
four of us were about to go on a warpath.
It seems like belt vacating happens a lot in AEW. You know,
I'm like, you should only vacate the belt if you are injured, or if you were like a belt from a different company, like TNA, for example. Their X Division Championship has the ability, you can vacate the title, but it's like a cash-in. Vacate the title, and then you get a world championship match at your choosing later down the line. Right. So, but just to vacate it is never an option for me. And it frustrates me when that happens like that.
Right. And then the other X factor is Sting, you know. He's got, in essence, 2 matches left. And how are we going to, or what's the best way that we want to remember Sting? You know, I feel that him and Darby winning the tag team championship from Big Bill and Ricky, that'll still push Big Bill and Ricky, right? And then it might also set them up so that they can split and do whatever they want, you know, because they were singles competitors for a while there. or well, that's we'll put that, and then if you have Sting and Darby then dropping this to the Young Bucks, it then pushes the Young Bucks, but still, Sting and Darby are going to look good, and if it's one thing that we know about Sting is that he wants to promote the younger talent. He wants to push the younger talent, he's not there to be a glory hound, so it's going to be an interesting week coming up, and then it's going to be an interesting few weeks going to Revolution, but that's that. Yep, that's that match.
Yeah, and I understand why we had the Eliminator match, because the other thing that kind of happened since the last time we were together is that the rankings are back for AEW.
Yes.
So, which is something I felt like should have been brought back. But AEW, if you watch this, and I know you do, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I'm saying? I wanted them to bring the rankings back. The only change I would make, instead of having a top 5, expand that to a top 10. Because then you can create storylines within those individual brackets between the singles championships, the tag championships, women's division, and your trios championships, and you can have multiple storylines. The top of each division can go for those titles, and then you can make fun stories where it's like, okay, I'm ranked number 10, who's on the list? Number 8, okay, hey, go number 8 into getting a match with you, beat number 8. It's like, oh, look at that, I've risen in the ranks now. It's just fun ways that you can tell multiple stories without always having to directly put them into the championship pictures and stuff like that.
So now in this situation, and I was wondering this, in this situation, because the Dark Order lost, do they now go to the bottom of
I want to say yes,
ranking?
because they will not, I don't know at the bottom, but they do go down in the rankings, because if the other tag teams in the top 5 win matches, then they're going to continue to go up. That's why I'm saying I feel that expanding it to a top 10 gives you a chance to see where everybody's at. And then that's not even accounting if Sting and Darby lose the titles to the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm just like, because they've been off of television since Full Gear, which was back in November. That kind of throws the system's rankings out of whack, because they're technically not in the rankings, but they're going to get this. They're probably going to be the champions. And anyways, it's just like a whole convoluted mess.
Yeah. So AEW Rampage, anyway.
Here on AEW Rampage, we don't really worry too much about the rankings. We're going to let the Dynamite boy. Oh, wait, that's me. We let the Dynamite crew deal with all that. We're just here for a good time.
Yep.
Because speaking of good times, we already talked about Powerhouse, Hobb, and Don Callis. And we get our next match, our first women's match of the night, the only women's match of the night. Willow Nightingale. Love her. She comes out. Love her energy. She's great to have.
With Chris Statlander.
And Stokely.
And Stooley.
Commentary cracked me up this whole entire match by having various iterations of calling Stokely like Stoogie, Stooley.
Yep.
Stockley. I was just like,
that was so funny.
It was so funny to watch. And Willow takes on pulling double duty between Rampage, and then I just saw her on Collision tonight. Queen Amanada.
All right, Queen Amanada, yeah. Can we give Queen Amanada a win, please?
Yeah.
When I saw that she was up against Willow Nightingale, I was like, oh, man, Queen Amanada's gonna lose. Damn it. And then when I saw the matchup against the Professor on Collision, I was like, oh, she's gonna get, that's a double loss, and she has this, she's over in AEW, but then like when you see Queen Amanada on Ring of Honor, which I haven't been able to peg down, but I'm almost positive she has an undefeated record in Ring of Honor, and is going to be going for the women's TV belt in Ring of Honor. So let her get an AEW win. I mean, she's great talent. She works really well. You can tell that she's definitely there for the business, because hell, she's been brought up twice over this weekend and has lost twice and really hasn't batted an eye. Give her a win. Let her have a win. I mean, and this match is proof that you should let her have an AEW win, because it was a good match. She brings great energy. She works really well with the other talent. The crowd, and she's over with the crowd. I mean, that crowd was cheering for Queen Amanada at some points, So let the Queen get a win.
I 100% agree. This match though kind of ruled too.
I mean, no doubt. And I apologize if I sound like I'm dunking on this match.
No, I totally 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
The match itself was awesome. This was a really good match. I love anytime Willow is in the ring. She can do no wrong in my eyes. Queen is a fantastic wrestler. They both did an awesome job. But I 100% agree with you. At least in the AEW universe, I want to see her pick up a substantial win. Kind of put her on track to be somebody to consideration to be taken seriously in the women's division. Because, look, I want Queen to get set up for success. I want her to pick up a substantial victory over someone, because my bucket list of who I would love to see, just because I would think their styles would match really well. And I think if you build up to the match, it would be great. Because eventually I would love to see Queen take on Thunder. And I think that would be a match.
Cool. Oh,
that would
man,
be a match I would
awesome.
want to see so bad. Queen Aminata versus Thunder Rosa.
Yarp.
Because I think their styles would mesh very well, and it would be great. I appreciated after the match, Willow picks up the victory here. She goes and shakes Queen's hand.
Yep.
And I love that Chris and Willow force Stokely to enjoy himself in the ring, and he's just like, I'm anti-fun, and gets mad at both of them.
Yep. I'll tell you what, I am here for this storyline. This Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Stokely Hathaway storyline. I'm here for it. Make all the friendship bracelets, Willow. You make them friendship bracelets. You hand them out to people. I'm ride or die on this one.
Well, since we're talking about the friendship bracelets, because again, we're not done with Stokely and Willow and Chris, because later in the evening, they're backstage with Renee. Talking about it. And
Willow made Renee
a friendship bracelet.
Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh, Willow's too adorable. I love her so much. But, Willow is being interviewed. And then all of a sudden, we hear a cacophony of yelling and screaming. And who should arrive on the scene but the Outcast 2.0? Saraya, Ruby, and Harley Cameron. They're all arguing still. Stokely killed me with the line and said, hey, nobody makes fun of Willow except me. What? That's mean. But yeah, anyways. And then Saraya kills me. She's like, she's a stray. She adopted.
I died when Stokely. What was it? This isn't like Dawson's Creek or keep that Dawson's Creek stuff. Like
I was like, it's like this is AEW Rampage.
This is AEW Rampage, not Dawson's Creek. Oh, that was great. This spot was a fun spot, a great spot.
Chaotic. I loved it.
Yeah, Harley Cameron biting Stokely Hathaway. Like
I died.
Yeah, I wasn't on board with this iteration of Harley, but
I am now.
But right after this, yeah, totally give us this like stray unhinged Harley Cameron. Like I'm here for it. Yeah, because that and was funny.
Yeah, and it sets up Willow versus what seems to be Willow and Chris maybe versus Ruby and Saraya next week, which I'm excited for. Saraya killed me in this too. She's like, I'm tired. I was like, is it my contract? Like,
I have to wrestle.
It's like, I have to sweat.
Yeah.
I don't know what Saraya decided to go with this character, but I love this choice in her character. It's so refreshing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I would actually be tickled pink if Saraya pulled some shenanigans and had Harley step in the ring in her place. so then you would have Ruby and Harley against Willow and Chris. Because I think that would be a lot of fun, especially with the Ruby Harley dynamic that's been building. Which I hope they haven't stopped that storyline, especially with Cooland and Ange. Like I would not mind seeing Cooland and Ange trying to, apologize to Ruby, and then more scheming machination, and have this whole Romeo Juliet thing. I like that. I'm here for that. I dig it. So hopefully they don't stop that. Hopefully, we get a little bit more of that, maybe next week at Rampage or something like that. But that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I'm so here with what we're dealing with Chris and Willow and the Outcast 2.0. I'm just happy to see all these women get television time.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to watch the storyline play out.
Yes, it has.
All of them. They're separate storylines and then coming together on Rampage. This is great. So then, from here, I love that Orange Cassidy just sets up his own interview. So Renee's backstage with Orange Cassidy and best friends. And it's like, Renee's like, Orange, you asked for this time. Why? And Cassidy's just like,
Orange.
No, Renee, I requested this time because anytime I have an interview, the Undisputed Kingdom always interrupt, and I set it up this time so we can interrupt them and I can catch them by surprise. And here they come in 3, 2, 1. And then there's a little bit of silence. It's like, oh, I guess I was wrong about that. Orange!
Orange!
I was like, oh gosh, here we go. And then in comes the Undisputed Kingdom, and I just looked
with
directly
Adam
at
Cole in a wheelchair.
That was hilarious. And then I looked directly at Wardlow. I was like, oh, this was totally taped on the same night as Dynamite because you're still in your ring gear. With your barely a strap covering the nips. I was like, what is happening? Yeah. But essentially, this sets up on Dynamite. No, on Rampage next week. Sorry.
Rampage next week.
It's a 6-person tag, so it's going to be Roddy and the Kingdom taking on Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta, since Chucky T is still injured and he's not cleared to wrestle. So I was like, this is all I wanted. This is all I wanted. I wanted them to interact in some capacity because the last 2.5 weeks since we found out Roddy was going to be facing Orange Cassidy for the International Championship at Revolution, I wanted them to clash in some capacity because it's always just been Roddy talking and running away. But now we're going to clash. Now I'm afraid that we're going to have more runaway spots and it's going to be a big old schmoz. And I'm like, no! I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, this spot definitely did what it's supposed to do. I am here for that match next Friday. But yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see how this story unfolds. And I'm hooked. So
also, Renee confirmed as the leader of Best Friends because she's the one that called in for the hands in. I was just like, oh, she's the secret leader. I knew it. Renee's so good at it. I love Renee's backstage.
Yeah. And she was rocking that pantsuit. She was rocking that
I was like, her and Lexi are like my 2 favorite backstage personalities across all of the promotions we cover here. So good.
Yep.
Okay. So Adolfo, virtually, we need to hold hands real quick.
I know.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
What?
Okay.
A main event.
Holy crap.
Woo!
Okay. So I'm just gonna set this up. Then we're gonna spend 40 minutes. We're gonna spend a bunch of time talking about this. So this is our main event. This is an 8-person tag team match. And this was set up as a response of what happened after Jon Moxley's match on Dynamite, in which we had 4 representatives from CMLL in the audience who jumped the barricade, attacked Moxley, which then commentary was like, oh my gosh, the locker room is clearing out to help them. I was like, it's 4 people. And I was like, what happened to the roster? Because it was Daddy Magic, Cool Hand, Christopher Daniels, and Matt Sydal. I was like, the whole HR department is here. What do you mean the whole locker room? Where was everybody else? But because of that, this sets up this 8-man tag. So you have Daddy Magic, Cool Hand Ange, Matt Sydal, and Christopher Daniels taking on the 4 representatives from CMLL, and I made sure to write everything down so I can pronounce it. And, I'm going to do my best. So we had Máscara Dorada, Hechicero, Volador Jr., and Místico. Listen, by the way, Hechicero's entrance with the alchemy stuff, I'm just like, I love me a good gimmick. And I'm super impressed by him. I'm super impressed by him, especially what I saw tonight on Collision. But stay tuned for that review to find out why.
I was super impressed by all 4 of them. And when this was announced earlier in the week, and I think I had texted this in the group chat, I was super excited. I was like, oh my God, CMLL is coming to fucking Rampage, and I'm excited. I'm excited, baby. Then when I saw, because I will admit I didn't see Dynamite yet, but when I saw how this was set up where they jumped Jon Moxley, I was like, oh, please don't make the brown people the bad guys. Like, please
technically
don't.
They are.
And technically they are. But when they came out for this match, it didn't feel like they were being denigrated. And it was a fantastic match. It was not just a bunch of high fly spots. You can tell that these 4 are like mat tacticians, that they've been around, because there was enough high flying, and then there was enough technical wrestling in there that, like, dude, like that pin that it hits a
Hechicero did.
Hechicero, what? That was insane.
Grabbing Christopher Daniels and then rolling him around a couple of times to make him dizzy and disorient to pin him. I was just like,
off of some like weird arm bar to like, yo, that was insane. And it was good. And I mean, admittedly, the other 4, Matt Sydal, Christopher Daniels, Cool Hand Ange, and Daddy Magic, they looked good in this match. They weren't made to look the fool, which unfortunately, Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic, as of late, that's kind of been their shtick. And we unfortunately know that Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniel, even though, again, on ROH, they are great, right? Usually when they show up in Rampage or Collision, they're there to
they're gonna eat this pin.
Yeah, and they're gonna get that pin. But they looked competent in this match, and that added to the enjoyment, because you did have talent that could match Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniel in their technicality and in their high flying nonsense, for lack of a better word, with the 4 luchadors. So yeah, it was a great match. It was a great match.
I want to take this time to explain to the audience why me and Adolfo were super excited once we got the announcement, and why we're like kids on Christmas morning when it comes to talking about this match. So in previous reviews, anytime we got a luchador involved in the AEW universe, me and Adolfo have talked that verbatim like every single time, because not just in AEW, but just in general, Lucha Libre, while it is high-flying, fast action, and it's a lot of fun to watch, we have talked about how here in the Western states, Lucha Libre stars in mainstay Western companies don't necessarily get treated very well or don't get presented well. Yeah. And they're always usually taking the pins in matches to colored wrestlers or Caucasian, white people, no counterparts or constituents, if you will. And me and Adolfo were super excited because with the very little knowledge both of us know about CMLL, it's a big Lucha Libre federation in Mexico.
Mhm.
CMLL and AAA are like the two biggest federations for Lucha Libre in Mexico. So that already got me pumped. And I agree with Adolfo in the sense that I was worried because they were being presented as the heels in this when they were beating up Jon Moxley. And then I was like, oh wait, no, this kind of makes sense because in Lucha Libre you have your faces and then you have your rudos or your heels, which makes sense.
Yep.
Honestly, it's kind of refreshing to see somebody beat up BCC once in a while too, because BCC always ends up beating up everyone else, but this is the first time we've really seen BCC kind of get taken to the floor. And we're not done with our CMLL representatives because we're going to see them on Dynamite in a 6-person tag next week too, with Claudio, Moxley, and Danielson. And then we have 3 of our CMLL boys represented in that match too. It's great. But the reason me and Adolfo love this match so much more so is, I can't speak for Adolfo's experience, but as a kid growing up, very rarely did I get to see myself in just about any medium, whether it be cartoons, movies, things like that. That's why I would always gravitate towards, my more African-American superheroes, like growing up, Static Shock, the cartoon itself was like my big thing. The Proud Family was a big thing because that was the closest representation that I got of seeing me on television. And then once I found professional wrestling, I fell in love with it in general. But like Rey Mysterio's, the Eddie Guerreros, I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually do this. I can see me here. And to see these 4 boys, even though they were presented as the heels in this, I'm like, I am super happy because I can see myself as an adult here. But on top of that too, they picked up the win, which is the important part here.
Yep. Yeah, they weren't presented as like the stupid heel, which happens quite often with American heel story writing. They were, they're smart. They came in, they were aggressive. They showcased their talent, and it wasn't just spot. The match told a story, and the wrestlers helped to tell that story and moved along and made it fascinating. And I've said this before in other episodes. I'm all about the spooky wrestling, right? I'm all about like that spooky yooky stuff. And in the Lucha Libre storytelling, you see that a lot more, right? They're not afraid to, tap into that whole spooky yooky stuff. And at least it felt like to me, with these 4 from CMLL, that they allowed them to do that with the spooky yooky stuff. I mean, especially in the way that Hechicero got the win, because then he did his thing and the thing, and it was just, man, it was good. It was good, and I hope we see more, and I hope we see more story like this, because luchadors are so much more than just like doing crazy maneuvers off of the high ropes. They are so much more than that. That and those mascaras that they had, man, awesome.
Oh, I'm like, immediately I was like, where can I find some? They are so good. I loved it.
Yep. So,
obviously, it's a given that this is mine and Adolfo's match of the night, like hands down, no contest.
Yep.
And,
I might even go back and watch the match again before I watch.
Seriously, me
Collision.
too. I'm gonna make the rest of the boys watch this match. It's like, y'all need to watch this because this is really good.
And hey, if any TV execs are listening or whatnot, can we put CMLL or AAA wrestling somewhere that the US audience can fucking watch it?
I would be so down to watch it.
Please. I would love to watch it. Would love to watch it.
I would too. Well, Adolfo, this brings us to the end of this week's cleanup crew. So the last thing we got to do is we got to rate this. So using the Amanada scale, what are we giving this week's episode of Rampage?
I'm giving this an 8. This Rampage, it flowed well. There was not a time where I was like, oh my god, this needs to stop. It felt like they knew what they wanted to do with each thing and the story that they were telling. Even with the Ricky Stark's Big Bill Dark Order match, I know that it kind of sound like we're dunking on that, but it still felt like it had a direction as to where it was going, and Alice can attest that at the end of Rampage, we were like, wait, that was it? Didn't even realize the hour had gone by. It was just, it was so fun and so engrossing that, yeah, dug it.
I agree with you. I'm also giving this an 8 out of 10 for similar reasons as you. I think I enjoyed myself this week between the backstage stuff and the wrestling that we got to see. And then, of course, it got boosted up so much by seeing CMLL, the 4 boys wrestle in there. And it's going to continue for who knows how long in AEW, because we got Echisetto on Collision against Danielson, which... Not to spoil anything, but it was really good, you guys. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And then we're going to see more of them on Dynamite this upcoming week, so that's going to be really, really fun to watch as well. Adolfo, I love reviewing Rampage with you. It's like my little corner of happiness.
I know. It's happy time.
It is
happy Rampage
times.
At the collision cleanup, the Rampage cleanup crew.
Yeah, Rampage and Collision are my little corners of happiness because I get to work with some really fun people. It is a beautiful thing. And, if you also enjoy this corner of little wrestling happiness as well, you can check out other cleanup crew reviews as well as other reviews that we have here on the Bi-Conics YouTube channel. Follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod for notifications, out of context clips, and some fun memes that we healthily vent our frustration through when it comes to certain things. It's a lot of fun for sure. And then, of course, if you can't commit to seeing our beautiful faces for video reviews, you can carry us with you on the go, and you can listen to audio versions of these reviews as well. So our voices will help get you through your homework, through a tough day at the office. We can also help you with that, morning commune to the porcelain throne as well. Like, we have no shame here. Wherever you listen to us, wherever it's at, totally okay with that. Next week, me and Adolfo will be back once again for a pre-recorded review. So I get to at least be here for one more week.
Yep. And then after that, we'll be doing it live.
Alice,
just because
Alice is gonna come in and she's gonna clean house and be like, kick Mikey to the curb, and I'm like, I'm totally here for it. Like,
well, it's out of necessity. The wrestling schedule gets so freaking crazy.
It's crazy. It really does. It's for sure. But for myself, Adolfo, and I'm also gonna throw Alice because she is part of this Rampage crew now. From the 3 of us and the rest of the Bi-Conics boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Bi-Conic, all you guys, gals, non-binary pals, he, she's, theys, and gays of the internet. We will see you for the next Rampage review next week, but until then, ta-ta for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.